Hey parents, it's Robbin McManne here. Welcome to another video. I am so happy to bring you parenting tools that you can really use that actually work and work quickly. In my last video, I talked all about how you can have and develop your family values that have boundaries that are related to them and how they peacefully stick. So, I'm going to talk to you more about getting these values ingrained in everyday family life and how you're going to do that. While you're here, please do just take a second to like this video. It would mean the world to me. Please subscribe so you get a video every single week from me that helps you with real tangible tips and solutions, especially if you have those strong-willed kiddos, especially if you have a child that doesn't really want to listen, that is not somebody who wants to ever hear no, where that's a huge trigger for them and they have big emotions or intense behaviors. That's my jam. That is what I help you with, and I would love to help you with it. In fact, I have a program that I run that is an exclusive community of parents that are just like you, that are struggling with their kids, but they love them so much. And I get it. Parenting is the hardest job we do, but we do it without really understanding fundamentals like brain science, like developmental stages, what drives behavior, and what's underneath behavior, what kids are really asking for through their behavior. And so just understanding those things can transform your relationship with your kids in a short time. Here's one of my clients right now. This mom works with me and has been in my group for about 9 months, and she has four kids, and they are really, really busy. Here's what she has to say. She said, wow, it's hard to put into words everything that Robbin's program has helped me with. It has really changed my mindset and my whole approach to parenting. I have been working with this group for 9 months now, and I am no longer at the end of my rope and feeling like a failure in my parenting. I've gained so much confidence and insight into how my kids' behavior is communication. I've learned so much about how my child's brain is developing and how to respond. I'm able to deal with things calmly and not have a screaming, yelling frustration. I love the group calls each week, and they help me deal with whatever problems come up. And I love how open and supportive Robbin and all the other moms have been. It's truly an amazing support system. This has made a huge impact in my daily life. I'm so glad I made the decision to get into this program. Oh, yes. And I just love working with all of the parents that I do. I consider it a great honor, and I would love to extend that invitation to you. Please book a call with me. Every video that I do has a link in the description for how you can get in touch with me, and we'll talk together about what's going on in your family. And look, I know there's good times with your kids. I know you love your kids, and I really want to hear about the stuff that's hard, the tough stuff, the stuff that you struggle with, because when you talk to me about that, that's where I can help you. So don't hesitate to book that call with me. It is a place of no judgment, no criticism, just help and support. All right, so let's talk about family values and boundaries and how to get these boundaries to really stick. So, what I talked about last week is how you develop your values and how you determine what is important to you. And also, what are you going to do for the boundaries that are attached to them? I talked about categories of values, how you have a description that's your own description for what that value means to you. And the boundary is something that you want to work on with your kids. There's something going on related to that value that doesn't really work and isn't really working in your family. You need to tweak some behaviors in order to get some better cooperation or get some better behavior with your kids. And so what you want to do is you want to start by having family meetings. This is how you want to start the process of introducing those values and those boundaries. Now, oftentimes when we have family values, we don't really make a big deal out of them. We just sort of come up with them and say, well, that's just a value that we have in this house. This is just what we do here. Well, okay, but maybe let's let everybody know that that's a value, and let's also be proud of our values. Values are what make people good people. And those are also easy, usually, to agree with. And that's where we want to get your kids' agreement as well. So you start with the value, and usually that's easy to get agreement on, but it's also up for discussion, and you're holding space for discussion to get agreement on. And once your kids have bought into the value, that's when those boundaries are going to be so much easier to enforce and to hold peacefully and lovingly, with kindness, with compassion, and when you get pushback, with curiosity. So when it comes time to have a family meeting, I want to encourage you to have a family meeting once a week or once every 2 weeks and make them quick and fun. And did I mention short and quick? Yes, you want to be as quick and efficient as you can with these meetings. Oftentimes, I'll bring a book with me, like a journal, and I'll have just what the small points that we want to talk about. I'll usually review what we talked about last time, and that way I can stay on point because it's really easy to go kind of off left and right on tangents, and we really just want to kind of keep this to the point so that we can release our kids from the family meeting, and we also put a little hook on those family meetings. We offer a treat afterwards. That's just what we do. You can choose to do it how you choose to do it. You don't have to have an agenda like I do. You don't have to write notes. But I like it because I like to remember what was said. I like to remember what my kids said and what their worries were, what they were excited about, what they liked, what they didn't like. And it just helps me to stay on track and remember all of that stuff. So I encourage you to do that too, as long as you are having regular family meetings where you allow everyone to have a voice and to be heard. That really is what's crucial, and to keep them short and to the point as much as humanly possible. So the way that you want to start is you start with one value at a time, understanding that you have 4 to 6 values. This may take you 4 to 6 months to get through all of your values, and that's okay. This is a long game. This is a slow roll, and you want these to really stick. So take your time and settle into the process and just get comfortable with it. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to introduce the value. And let's say it's kindness. You want to explain what kindness means to you. And you're not even going to talk about the boundary yet. You're just going to talk about what that means. You're going to use the next little while to point out kindness, to model and demonstrate kindness, to give your kids opportunities to be kind as well. You will, in your daily life, have TV on or interact with other people, and you could point out, hey, look at what they did. That was really kind. Or say, do you think that was kindness? Or was that maybe something different? And just really make it a part of conversation. And then when you come back and you feel comfortable that your kids know what kindness is and you've done some acts of kindness, for example, then you can talk about what the boundary is. And the boundary maybe is that we treat others the way we want to be treated. And maybe that means that we don't call each other names. Maybe that's what it is. We don't use unkind names or use unkind words, maybe. That's really up to you, right? This is all about what works for you. And it also is what you want to change, the behavior you want to change based on that value. And your kids have already bought into the value of kindness through this process. We want them to agree on it and understand it and get excited about it. And once you put the value in place, you can say, oh, you know what, love, I heard you call your sister a name, or I heard you say something to your brother. And I wonder what that was about for you, because I didn't hear it as being very kind. And remember, our value is kindness, right? So how come you said that? And this goes back to the difference between rules, which really are the end of the conversation and are enforced with, if you don't do this, I'll do this to you. Or if you do this, I'm going to do this to you. Boundaries and limits are the opening of the conversation. It's the opening to curiosity. We're really trying to create a win-win. And we're going on the assumption that the behavior is here and what drives the behavior is underneath it. And we just want to get to what's underneath. So here are some things for you to keep in mind when you are dealing with these family meetings and also putting these boundaries in place, is that we often feel triggered when we go to establish these boundaries and we might not even realize it. So think about that ahead of time. Where are you at as you go into this family meeting? How are you feeling? What's going on with you? Are you feeling calm? Are you feeling agitated? Are you feeling a little worried that actually this might be hard? Well, acknowledge that, notice it, and take some deep breaths before you go in. Regulate your own self. Those deep breaths, they really do help to center you and calm you down. And it allows you to be there for your kids and to address any objections that they may have. You know, when you enter this discussion, The whole energy around implementing these boundaries is really establishing connection and cooperating with your child. It's not about enforcing anything. It's about creating that structure. And if you saw last week's video, I really talked about creating a scaffolding of support around your child. And that's what you're doing, is creating structure. And look, your child may not like the boundary, and that's fair. And they may need to release some feelings about that. They may have some energy around it that they also need to release. And that's okay too. They can be upset. You don't want to come from a place of judgment or criticism or start to grip really tightly to that boundary or that limit, because then you're going to be going into a more dominant way of parenting. And then you're going to start having these really cut and dry rules. And that doesn't work as well, because rules are really about kids complying because of the fear that they have of what's going to happen to them if they don't comply versus doing what's right. So your job is really to be an emotional coach for your child and really be there to support them with empathy. And empathy is really you just putting yourself in your child's shoes, whether you agree with what they're upset with or what they have to say or not. It's not about you. It's just where they're coming from at this moment. So don't judge it. Just understand it, and understand that their emotions will come like waves in the ocean. They will ebb and flow as they go, and allow them just to feel these feelings. It's not about you changing your boundary, your limit at all. You don't change it just because they have some feelings about it. You're holding firm to that. But if there is a massive reaction, maybe you didn't explain it. Maybe developmentally, they don't understand it. So then let's explain it to them in a way that they can understand. One of the ways that I love to explain things to kids, my kids are teenagers, so I don't need to do it anymore, but it's to draw it out, to say, okay, so when this happens, right? And you draw it out. Like, let's say in my last video, I talked about crossing the street. Safety is the value. The boundaries, we have to hold hands as we cross the street. And so drawing that out where, the child and I are together and we're crossing the street and we're holding hands, and, we're going to we're going to walk across the street together, and then we don't need to hold hands anymore. But what could we do instead of holding hands if you didn't want to hold hands that day? And it allows you to come up with some other solutions and other ideas. And your child then gets to have a voice in that. And that's what this is all about. It's about collaboration and allowing your child to come up with their own ideas too. And the fact that like the most important people in their lives are listening to them and doing what they came up with, that means the world to our kids. These people, us, the parents, are powerful in their minds. And when we say, yeah, you know what? I think you're right. I think that's a great idea. Oh, they feel so special. They feel really important, that the most important people in their lives listen to them, respect them, and value their thoughts, ideas, and their words. Isn't that amazing? What would life be like if you had that, if your parents did that? Isn't that incredible? So that's one of the gifts that you can give your kids. As you move forward with your new values and boundaries and limits, you may find that your child violates a limit or a boundary. And that's okay. It's going to happen. Expect it to happen. And here's some things that you can do to get through it. First and foremost, disengage. Take a minute, take a pause, and take a deep breath. There's a reason why I always say take a deep breath. And if you haven't heard me say it before, it's because when we're breathing slowly and deeply, our nervous system calms down. When we breathe quickly and shallow, we get a heightened sense of anxiety. So to disengage and remind yourself that this isn't personal. This is something going on with your child. So don't take it personally after you take a moment to calm yourself down and disengage. Then, if you need to, you can remove yourself. You can take a break, walk away. This is not an emergency situation unless somebody is hurt, of course. But day-to-day family stuff usually isn't an emergency. You can take a minute if you need to and step away. Here's one thing though. If you remove yourself, you want to make sure that your child knows that it's not about them. That you say, you know what, I'm feeling a little anxious right now, or I'm feeling a little upset right now. So I'm just going to go and take a break. What you're doing is you're not making it personal to them. You're not saying, you're really upsetting me. You've really triggered me. You are being so bad. So I need to walk away right now. I need to deep breathe. No, you want to say, it looks like we can't talk about this right now. And I'm actually starting to feel a little frustrated. So I'm going to go and walk away. And we're going to come back when both of us are feeling more calm and a little bit more relaxed so we can talk about this. Right. So you don't want to leave and make them think that they're being rejected by you, is really what I'm trying to say. So you're really talking in the language of feelings and needs, which is so great because it is what builds emotional intelligence. So I'm feeling this and I need this. I'm feeling frustrated. I need to go outside and take a few deep breaths, right? That's what you would say, not making it personal to them. They are not making you feel anything. You are just feeling that. Make sense? Then you want to really just show empathy for your child's feelings. Remember what I said, that this isn't about you agreeing with what they're upset with or not. This is just you holding space for them and their feelings, even if you don't understand them, even if you don't agree with them. You're just saying, wow, if I was in your position, yeah, I could see how not being able to chew gum at 3 years old would be really frustrating, because you see a lot of other kids doing that because your friends are allowed to and because you think it looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, I get it. And so just being in that space of empathy and just accepting that, yeah, your child is pushing back a little bit. It's okay. That's really normal. It's natural and it's to be expected. And once everybody is calm, you've given them empathy, then it's time for you to connect with your child and talk about it. How come? And you go back to, did I explain it? Was it clear? Do I expect something that they're not able to understand yet? Kids at a certain age may agree to something, but they may not actually understand what they're agreeing to. So maybe we need to backpedal a little bit and re-explain it so that they understand. And again, that's where you can use drawing, and also where you can play it out. You can role play. You can play with toys and have them reenact a situation where you're observing the value and the boundary or the limit. And then from there, that's a great way for them to get an example. Kids understand their world through play, and drawing and play are such great tools to have in your parent toolbox to help really explain things to your kids. Here's one of the best things about putting your values in place and corresponding limits and values is that everything else is negotiable. Isn't that great? So it doesn't mean it's an automatic yes or an automatic no. You get to talk about it with your kids and decide, do you let this go or do you not let this go? One of the examples that I use is my son, Aiden. He loves to wear shorts 365 days of the year, even when it's cold. And don't forget, I live in Canada. So that means that we do get some cold weather here. We don't get as cold weather as some of the other parts of the country, but it doesn't matter. We get snow, we get freezing temperatures, and he still wants to wear shorts. I don't have a value around that. You may want to have a value around that, and that's perfectly fine. I don't. So instead, what I do is I leave it to him. If he's confident that he's going to stay warm enough, then that's fine. What I'll do on those days where it's cold is I'll remind him how cold it is. I'll encourage him, invite him to wear some warm, fuzzy pants. But if he doesn't really want to, then what I'll do is I'll just say, hey, I'm going to put some pants in your backpack, and I'm doing it for me. It's not so much for you. It's to make me feel better. So if you get cold, you have those in there. And that way I feel good. He's doing what he wants. And that's creating a win-win for us. That's what I love about it. And just remember that when you use these steps to introduce a value and the limits or the boundaries that you're putting in place, that you are doing so without shaming your kids, without criticizing them, without breaking the relationship. You're actually building more connection. You're building relationship with your kids, and you're building a relationship that is rooted in mutual trust and respect, and on communication and understanding each other. And that is really, those are the building blocks to that foundational relationship that will last all the way through your relationship with your kids, through the tween years, through the teen years, and beyond when they're adults and they have their own kids and their own family. And so I know that you want your kids to be in your life forever. And these are the building blocks to doing that. These are the building blocks to creating kids that are contributing members of society. They grow up with a strong sense of self and self confidence, self compassion, and compassion and empathy for other people as well. So I'm really excited to share this with you. I'm really excited for you to do this in your own family. In the comments below, tell me how it's going. How is it working? What are the values you've chosen? What are the limits and boundaries that you've put in place that are attached to those? I'd love to know. And of course, I would love to talk to you. If you feel like you need a little bit of help navigating all of the challenges and the journey of parenting, I'm here for you. I would love to talk to you. And you can find the link below in the description here. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to watch this video next, because this is going to help you to get out the door in the mornings when you're really rushed and you have the clock waiting for you and you're up against a timeline. This is going to really help you to get out the door peacefully without having to yell, without having to be frustrated, where everybody gets along and you can all go your separate ways for the day peacefully and happily. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.